Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving straight into a question that just keeps coming up with reality TV.
Right. What's the actual math that networks are doing when they have to weigh, massive controversy against just basic accountability for their cast?
Exactly, because this isn't just about good TV drama anymore. It's about the human cost of a business model that's literally built on conflict.
And that math is exactly what we're going to try and figure out today.
Yeah.
We've pulled together a ton of sources, everything from investigative articles to the fallout from BravoCon 2025.
All centered on that really complicated and honestly pretty painful dynamic between Jax Taylor, Brittany Cartwright, and of course the network that keeps signing his checks.
And what all these sources show is this central conflict. Bravo keeps giving a huge platform to someone who, well, a lot of critics see as destructive.
And we really need to understand why they're doing that, especially when you put it next to Brittany's own recent updates about her recovery and the new boundaries she's finally setting for herself.
That tension is everything. It's the core of this whole story.
So we have to start where the sources hit the hardest, which is this relentless criticism of Bravo for keeping Jax Taylor on our screens. He's been called, and this is a direct quote from some very critical press, a menace to society.
Yeah, and that's not just, hyperbole for the sake of it.
Yeah.
The argument from critics is that the Jax from early Vanderpump Rules might have been like an annoying bartender.
A goofy villain, maybe?
Exactly. But his behavior now, especially since the separation from Brittany, is something totally different. He's accused of using his platform to, quote, emotionally terrorize his ex-wife. It's moved way past entertaining messiness into something much, much darker.
And let's get into the specifics, the pattern of behavior, because that's where the criticism really has teeth. We're not talking about small arguments here.
No. The sources detailed Jax admitting to some really destructive things, but then immediately following it up with what are called these flimsy excuses.
And there's one incident that always comes up, the one where he threw a coffee ball at Brittany.
And what's so fascinating and also really troubling is the performance of it all. This whole recovery story he's pushing.
Right. The 7 hours of therapy a day.
He's insisting he's doing all this intense work, but then you see these other sources that claim during that exact rehab period, he was, and I'm quoting here, abusing Brittany via text message any chance he got.
Wow.
So it makes that whole I'm doing the work narrative feel like a smokescreen.
Yeah.
Just for public consumption, for the network.
And that's where the network has to defend itself. We have a quote from showrunner Alex Baskin, who tried to push back on this backlash.
What did he say?
He argued that their goal is just to tell the story responsibly and fairly and not to put a gloss on what is really happening. He even admitted the subject matter is dark.
Okay, but the critics are asking, at what cost?
Yeah.
If you're supposedly showing the dark side of abuse, but you keep giving him a platform.
On the Valley After Show, Watch What Happens Live, press tours.
Yeah, all of it. They argue it just lets him continue emotionally terrorizing Brittany and manipulate audiences while playing victim. The platform itself becomes part of the problem.
So that whole responsible storytelling defense starts to look a lot less like journalism and more like, I don't know, cynical PR to keep the ratings up.
Which brings us to the business side of it, this sort of myth of the indispensable reality star.
The cast definitely seems to believe it, and Jax certainly does. He once called Vanderpump Rules my show.
And the criticism is that Bravo keeps emboldening him because they believe his toxicity translates directly into views. It doesn't matter what his record is.
Right. It's a high-risk, high-reward model. He's always been a ratings driver.
Exactly. And other cast members, maybe on the Valley, they might coddle him because they assume his clout with Bravo makes him untouchable and, essential for their own jobs.
It's a whole hierarchy. He gets a pass for stuff that would get a lesser-known cast member fired in a second.
The economic truth seems to be that a character like that, a long-running toxic figure, generates reliable heat. And until that heat is gone, accountability is always going to come second to profit.
If you're finding this look into the economics of reality TV interesting, just a quick reminder to make sure you're subscribed. We're always trying to unpack how these business decisions end up shaping the culture you consume.
Okay, so now let's shift gears. Let's talk about Brittany Cartwright, because she is actively taking apart this idea that she's just some side character in Jax's chaos.
Yeah, anyone who thought she was weak was very, very wrong.
Totally. Let's just change the whole mood here and talk about her updates from BravoCon, because they were all about her own personal recovery.
She said it so simply, too. She just said she is definitely getting my sparkle back. That one phrase, it just says so much.
And she even hinted that the whole show she's on is changing because of it. She told fans Season 3 of The Valley will be much lighter and have a lot more fun.
Which, if you think about it, if Jax was the main source of the darkness in Season 2, her pulling back and setting boundaries has probably changed the entire dynamic of the production.
For sure. She also confirmed she's single. I love this part. She just said, "Introduce me."
Ha, good for her.
She did touch on that short relationship with Brandon and just said the public attention was all too much too fast.
And she made a point of saying she's not a homewrecker about that whole thing, just to set the record straight.
But the thing that really stood out, the most powerful part of her update, was her focus on her son, Cruz.
Yeah, that was really moving.
She was so open about his progress since his autism diagnosis in 2024, talking about his speech therapy, his occupational therapy.
And celebrating that huge milestone they just hit, the fact that he's now saying mommy on FaceTime.
And that detail, it just grounds everything. For so many parents, a 4-year-old saying mommy is just, a given. But for her, that's a huge, hard-won victory. It shows you where her real energy is going.
But the reality of co-parenting is still there. She confirmed the divorce status is exactly the same.
Right, nothing's changed legally. And she was really clear that the conflict isn't even about their son. They manage that part pretty well. It's about, and this is her quote, how he handles me.
And that is the key difference now. She's the one setting the terms. She said she has set many boundaries and feels good about it.
And when she was asked about Jax ever coming back to reality TV, she set the bar so high. She said he needs to make some drastic changes.
Not just talk about therapy, real, actual, long-term change before she'll agree to be on a show with him again.
And if you connect that personal strength to the bigger network politics, you start to see how alone she really is in this. Which brings us to Lisa Vanderpump.
Oh, yes. The criticism she had for her old boss, that was sharp.
Brittany just threw some serious shade. She claimed LVP hasn't spoken to her in ages.
And she didn't stop there. She said LVP hasn't checked on her since my divorce, since my son's autism diagnosis. That's a huge accusation.
It really is. It paints LVP as totally detached from the real-life struggles of the people who made her famous.
Then she just went for the jugular business-wise.
She really did. She basically said LVP likes who is bringing her money at the time. And it's currently not me.
Wow. And other sources back that up, saying LVP's relationship with a lot of the OGs is chilly now, that it's all transactional for her.
Meanwhile, LVP seems to have already moved on. She used BravoCon to announce the big Vanderpump Rules reboot for Season 12.
She said she knew it was time because she had to deal with people not wanting to film with each other.
Basically, the OG problems got too serious and more adult. The baggage was becoming a liability for the show.
So what's the new flavor of VPR?
LVP described the new cast, Venus Binkley, Jason Cohen, Shane Davis, as naughtier, sexier, funnier. She wants to get back to the show's roots.
Young, messy, but ultimately lower stakes drama.
Exactly. She even joked that she hopes the new cast becomes a pain in the ass because for her, that kind of chaos is a sign of success.
That's fascinating. The network is trying to manufacture the kind of energy that used to happen organically. They're trading this deep generational toxicity for fresh chaos.
It shows they know that even their most hardcore viewers get tired of watching genuine emotional pain.
Okay, so let's put all this in the context of the wider Bravoverse, because some of the stuff that came out of BravoCon was just wild.
Oh, absolutely. It really shows you the kind of surreal world these people operate in.
Like Kim Zolciak having to publicly deny the wildest rumor she'd ever heard, that she was pregnant with Jax Taylor's baby.
I mean, can you imagine? She had to go on record and say, "I have never dated Jax Taylor." It shows you how fan fiction can just become part of the narrative.
And there was another Jax rumor that got shut down, right?
Yeah, the one about him vandalizing Brittany's mom's house and it leading to a $30,000 settlement. Debunked. Just never happened.
It proves the lines between on-camera, off-camera, and what the fans just make up are totally blurred. And the network kind of loves that confusion.
And we even saw the platform's volatility happen in real time with the whole Andy Cohen and Jeff Lewis blow-up.
That was not staged at all. Jeff was airing real personal grievances against Andy on a panel. In public.
And it escalated so fast, the sources said Andy was just fed the feck up and shut it down right there on stage.
And the consequence was immediate. Jeff had to issue a public apology later.
It's such a perfect example of the tightrope they all walk. You can have drama, but if you challenge the power structure, you get put back in your place. Fast.
Even the smaller moments tell you a lot, like Luan de Lesseps addressing the rumor she slept with Joe Bradley.
Denied it, but confirmed they did hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's telling the story about meeting his mom at the hotel. It's all part of the weird, charming spectacle.
And you can't forget the fashion, the pure spectacle of it all.
Right. Rachel Zoe calling out Jennifer Tilly for her full regalia. The crown, the cape. It's a full-time job just to look the part.
So after all of that, the controversy, the personal wins, the business pivots, what's the one key takeaway we want you to walk away with?
I think what we've really learned is that Bravo is caught in this moral economic bind. They want the dark, compelling content that people like Jax Taylor provide because it guarantees ratings.
But at the same time, there's this growing pressure from the public, from critics, to enforce some kind of accountability and to protect people like Brittany from harm that the platform itself is helping to cause.
Yeah, the human cost to the business model is becoming impossible to ignore.
And the most crucial part is Brittany's response to it all. She's not just surviving, she's thriving in spite of the network continuing to use her ex-husband.
Right. She found her own path. She's focused on her son. She set these incredibly firm boundaries. And she's made it clear her well-being is not up for negotiation, no matter what the network wants.
So that whole conversation about Jax being indispensable brings us to a really profound question for the future of reality TV, especially with what LVP is doing with Vanderpump Rules.
Does a show like that need to have a core level of real deep toxicity to survive? Or will this naughtier, sexier, funnier new cast prove that you can get an audience to follow you away from those destructive patterns and embrace something, a little lighter?
That is the ultimate test for the entire Bravoverse, isn't it? Can they monetize chaos without relying on genuine toxicity? We'll definitely be watching to see if that gamble pays off.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive, where we analyze the stories shaping culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that keep the stars shining.